Welcome to this week's edition of Outdoors Online, a weekly webcast produced by the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. I'm your host, Tom Jensen. My guest this week is Paul Bailey. Paul is a fisheries supervisor for Game and Fish. We're going to talk about winter creel surveys that are going on right now. Paul, first of all, explain what is a creel survey.
Okay, I guess the term creel survey comes from the creel that anglers historically often kept their fish in. You know, instead of a live well, people fishing would have their fish.
Wicker baskets.
Yep, that's where the term creel survey comes from. So, and basically what we're after is the information in that creel from these creel surveys. So anglers who have fished the Missouri River system in the past and Devil's Lake especially, where we routinely conduct these creel surveys, have encountered a creel survey clerk before. But basically what we're after there is information on how successful anglers were, the number and sizes of fish that they're catching. That's just one of the key components we're looking for when in managing these fisheries. We spend a lot of our time in the summer doing habitat surveys to see which kind of fish species would be best suited to different lakes, assessing those fish populations and forage conditions in those lakes. But then another key component to effectively managing these fisheries is having a good understanding of how successful anglers are and how anglers are utilizing these fisheries.
So that's how you use them as a management tool then?
Correct. Yeah, it helps us ensure that anglers are utilizing these fisheries in a way that's really compatible with their long-term sustainability.
You mentioned in the past that you were doing Devil's Lake, you were doing Missouri River system. Now you're doing a lot of different lakes. Essentially, you found a different way and more effective way of doing the creel surveys. Can you explain?
Right. When we do our, historically as we've done our Missouri River system, Devil's Lake creel surveys, and some other creel surveys on some of our smaller lakes like Alkaline Lake, for example, we've done those surveys during the open water season when we get a lot of shore fishermen and especially boat angler traffic. So in the summer, basically we have a creel clerk staying at one of those main access areas, and then as fishermen are done for the day and returning, to load their boat, now they're done fishing for the day, and that's when the interview would occur. The creel clerk would approach them then. This winter creel survey, we can do it a little bit differently, whereas it's hard to approach anglers when they're all out fishing in a boat. A lot of them don't want to be disturbed then. Turns out a lot of ice fishing anglers are happy to conduct the interview then and enjoy chatting with our creel clerk a bit too. So basically we're going out on a UTV, hitting these lakes. Our creel clerk would drive around and contact all the anglers while they're actively fishing. And ask them a few questions. The whole interview process just takes 30 seconds or so to get the information we're after. And if the anglers aren't done fishing for the day, they'll be left with a creel card where they can tell us how many hours they fished and then how many fish they harvested and released. And when they're done fishing for the day, we've got creel card return boxes placed at most of the main access points on the lakes that we're interested in. So as anglers are done fishing for the day, leaving the lake, hopefully they drive right by one of these creel card return boxes, complete the information for us, and then we'll have that completed trip information on each one of those anglers, which is really what we're after.
So that's as good a reason as there is to make the change from the old survey style to the new survey style, is that you've got more hours fished, and your creel takers or survey takers don't have to be out there all day long.
Right, yeah. What this survey methodology is allowing us to do is maximize our angler contacts. We're able to contact as many anglers as possible, which increases our sample size, certainly something we're interested in. And then even more importantly, it gets us that completed trip information, which is really useful in making our management decisions.
Are anglers accepting the new process?
Yeah, angler compliance has been fantastic. I think there's definitely a lot of angler interest in what we're doing out there, so anglers are more than happy to comply or assist us with the creel survey and provide us the information we need.
The way fishing has been in your district and a lot of districts around the state, it's interesting to see that the anglers now, if we can keep fishing at that level for years, they're more than willing to be compliant and help out with the management tools.
Exactly. I think that's where the anglers definitely see the utility of doing these creel surveys and helping us obtain the information we need to effectively manage these fisheries and keep fishing as good as possible, as long as possible.
Paul, how do you pick the lakes that you do these creel surveys?
Well, a lot of the lakes that we're focusing on with this creel survey are more of our newly formed lakes, lakes that weren't on the landscape for sure 20 years ago.
They were sloughs 10 years ago and now they're...
Exactly. So I said we have this longer history of creel surveys and good information on some of our major waters around the state, but we were missing that information on a lot of our smaller lakes. So basically we're focusing on some of our smaller fisheries And we chose to focus on lakes in more Logan, McIntosh, and Kidder counties, where we've got these clusters of lakes that allow us to conduct the Creel survey really most efficiently. And these lakes are receiving a lot of attention from anglers as well. So I guess we've got these clusters of lakes that allow our Creel clerk to maximize the number of anglers that they're interviewing, and then they can quickly move from one lake to the next too, so they can hit multiple lakes in a single day.
So basically, if you're out ice fishing and you're approached with a card, fill it out and turn it in.
That's definitely a big help.
All right. Thanks, Paul. There are a few bills before the legislature this session that could have an effect on outdoors men and women if they're passed or if they fail. If you want to keep tabs on these bills or others dealing with the outdoors, log on to the Game and Fish website. There is a link that will connect you with the legislative page. It has many unique features. It explains bills in much simpler terms than the legislative jargon in which they're written, a Cliff Notes version of the bill, so to speak. It also gives a brief summary of how the bill would affect hunters and fishermen. And if you feel strongly about the issue and wish to contact the lawmakers from your district, it also has links with contact information for each legislator. Go to the Game and Fish website at gf.nd.gov and find the hot link that will take you directly to the legislative page. For Paul Bailey and the rest of the staff here at North Dakota Game and Fish, thanks for joining us for Outdoors Online. We'll see you again next week.